Start of the wildfire season in the West Coast. 100 million Americans are under air quality alerts last month because of the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. In fact, there's an increasing global wildfire threat in 2021. All continents, with the exception of Antarctica, witnessed significant fires. Weather and climate-related events cost the global economy over $300 billion last year, with only $130 billion of these losses covered by insurance. For businesses, it's not just direct costs like property, but it's also indirect costs caused by power shutoffs and being closed and supply chain disruptions, not to mention employee health and productivity. For more on this, we're joined by Jonanthan Shroyer, Chief Customer Experience Officer at Arise, to talk more about this issue. And you know, if you just woke up and watched this, you'd feel like the world is ending. Of course, the world's not ending. We do have a weather issue. It does seem that we have more frequent weather issues that are rising from climate change. And a lot of people are blaming people. They're blaming us. They're blaming businesses. They're blaming workers driving to work. All these things that you don't often tie together. This remote work that I know you're an expert at this, has that helped reduce some of the carbon footprint?
It definitely has. I mean, according to Buffer.com, 7 tons a year of carbon dioxide is created just by one commuter driver. So if you take 100,000, if you take 1 million drivers off the road full-time or even half-time, you save hundreds of thousands of tons of carbon dioxide that is going into the air that we're all breathing, that's impacting our world environment.
But it's so strange, right? Because we were cooped up in our homes for a couple years. Then all these companies are now saying, no, you need to get back to work. And so we're back on the roads. And I'll just give you one example. In the city of Seattle, traffic is now worse than it was prior to COVID, which means either people are not really working from home, or they're working from home and they're driving in their cars, that are working from their cars. Whatever the reason might be, we have not been successful in getting people out of their cars.
It's 100% true. During COVID, my wife and I were talking about this morning. During COVID, we live close by Highway 101 in San Francisco, and we have air quality monitors throughout our house and outside because I have asthma. And what we noticed is during COVID that the air quality, it got a ton better. And then post-COVID, with this drive from tech companies and other companies to get people to come back to work, and also people that want to travel more, want more experiences, because they were cooped up for a couple of years, we're seeing spikes in carbon dioxide. And really the solution is some type of a hybrid work environment or more electric vehicles on the roads.
Well, I mean, again, I don't want to overdo this, but electric vehicles also take electricity, and the electricity has to come from somewhere. That said, it is still better than many of the other options. So if that's the case, look, you're in San Francisco, and it's been an example for the rest of the country to follow when it comes to flexibility for the employees, like you said, the commute. Why can't we duplicate that in more cities? In fact, we should be encouraging people to work from home if it's reducing the carbon footprint, rather than the opposite, which is what we're seeing in the headlines today. Can't the government, or should the government perhaps take a more proactive approach?
I do believe so. I think with a lot of the companies that are small to mid-size in San Francisco, they have employed a flexible working environment. We do hear a lot of the larger tech companies that get a lot of fanfare for some of the activities that they're taking to drive productivity that they feel is important, for their workers and for their brands. But by and large, a lot of the companies in the Bay Area are still flexible, still working from home. I think the government needs to incentivize this type of behavior, because that's going to have an indirect, in some cases, and a direct impact in the impact that carbon dioxide has on the world that we live in. I mean, just 2 days ago, Phil, it was the hottest day of the year on record of any year that we've been tracking across the globe.
I mean, and part of me is very worried about it. Part of me says, what can I really, honestly, what can you and I really do? But there is blame to go around, right? The energy companies take some blame. The users of energy, like us, for example, whether we fly or drive, whatever we do on weekdays or weekends, that's increasing the carbon footprint that we lead to. But corporate America also needs to take the lead on this as well, because I don't often hear them talk about reducing any carbon footprint, and they should.
I think so. And when you think about the stories that corporate America tells, they tend to have been in the past about profitability, about what's the stock look like, what's our strategy, how are we being innovative. I think what we really have to think about, and I think Gen Z is going to really drive this behavior for us, is what are the greater purpose things that we're doing as a corporation, and how are we adding value back into the world, uplifting the world, and help it be a better place, rather than it just line the pocketbooks of certain shareholders. And I think corporate America needs to incentivize its workers, needs to be incentivized to drive those right behaviors and be an example.
Jonathan, appreciate your time on this, Chief Customer Experience Officer at Arise. Thank you for your time.